Hey everyone. I clicked start and it just started. I wasn't expecting that for some reason. I expected some sort of fanfare or some kind of brouhaha before it actually went live, but it just went live, and that's just perfect because that's how this is. We don't control any of this. It's just that. Let's hang out. I got your comments over here. I'm at home. Let me pull these up. Damn it. This computer. Macs have gotten so weird now. Like you pull a window around and suddenly it goes. Erica, Emma, Kathy, Ashley, Geek on Two Wheels, Sophia. Everybody's here. Sixth Estate. What's up, Doc? Smiesko. What is up? What's up with you guys? Thought I'd just go live to everyone on YouTube. I don't do that very often anymore because I think, my YouTube channel was built on like, here's a doctor doing dumb, silly stuff and talking about dumb, silly things. And I don't really do that anymore. Now I just talk about dumb, silly things, but there's no doctor. There's actually no one. So maybe it's a little bait and switch for my old subscribers. So I was wondering if I should just start a new channel from scratch, or does it really matter? Because y'all are here. Hi, Sue. Michael Hood, hope the day is well. How might it not be well? Let's think. Because it's exactly this. When thought doesn't intervene and try to label, conceptualize, put an overlay on everything, and notice that that overlay, when you look, it all has to do with me. This image of I'm having a bad day. The day is not good to me. Like, who is it that wouldn't think the day is going well? This apparent one that's having the experience. So what if you look in this moment right now, this now, are you in it? Can you find you, I, in this moment, apart from the textures, the colors, the sounds, the indescribability of the waterfall of experience that's just unfolding? Total mystery, total miracle, actually. Because it could easily be that there was nothing. Or worse, couldn't it be that there was someone here having the experience? That would be a drag. And that drag is called the human condition. That mistaken sense that this appearance that we're calling I, me, is somehow real, has substance, has a future and a past. This morning I went to the gym and I was like, I'm one of these early birds type. So I get up and I'm like, okay, 7 a.m. I'll go to the gym. And the people there at 7 a.m. are hardcore. They're not me. They're, the woman who does every single station in the whole gym and is like, and then doing yoga poses and looks like she could bench press 3 of me. And I was sitting there, I was looking around and I was like, whoa. What is it that's living this life? Zubin's life. What is it that's living it? Because it isn't Zubin. That's been seen through. It's like Zubin is appearing as this, like this character, this one with the personality who says a lot of, curse words and gesticulates and has a YouTube channel and all that, and was born in 1973 and is going to die, I don't know, tomorrow. Maybe he's already dead. I think he is already dead. And all of that is an appearance. So what is it that's living this life? And when that was sort of looked for, there's this, you can't put words on this, but it's like, oh, it just kind of clicks. Oh, Zubin is a dance that's being lived by no one that you can talk about. It's it's life itself that's living it. And then you look around at the gym and you see personality type, body type, this sort of feeling of neurotic seeking that's so familiar to us, and you just fall in love with it all, like as an expression of the perfection of life just doing its thing, life living you, what you thought was you, and you realize it's just indescribability. Hi, George. It's like my cat chasing its tail, says Pipananda. Yeah, that's what the self feels like. The self is always this movement of thought, belief, energetic sense. It seems to intervene between this now and itself, this kind of you. But that's also not true, because when you look, you realize, no, the self that is chasing its own tail, is always seeking the next thing, is part of this grand appearance. And it can be seen as that by no one, meaning there isn't a self seeing that. It's kind of like, this is where words just fall out. It's just seen. There's just seeing. And what does that feel like? It feels like what people would talk about as freedom. Freedom from the future, freedom from the past, freedom from the one who gave a shit. So now, all of this now is all there is, all there ever was, all there could be, and somehow that was always known. And just maybe overlooked by this movement of energy we call me. Oh, George got interrupted by an ad. That's not very nice. YouTube doesn't let you specifically turn off mid-roll ads during a live without turning off any ads. And I figure if I'm using this channel, I'm going to put the ads on because I don't have another source of revenue except for subscribers, which are awesome. So I leave it on. Zubin is very conditioned to try to play games on YouTube. At some point, I think he's just going to delete the whole thing and start new. Just because he's crazy, this character. Hi, Risa. Just back from a 2-hour work meeting. Had a holotropic breathing facilitator. Was actually an impactful experience. Totally out of the blue. Walked away feeling totally different. And I got paid. LOL. Yeah, holotropic breathing, it's a darn near psychedelic experience. It can be. Hi, Robin. Longtime fan, haven't watched much recent stuff, but you seem like Z-Dog 2.0. Gosh, how do I say this? If I watch my old videos, it's like somebody else was doing them, like another character. But the truth is that all of it is a character, any sort of personality movement. That's just an appearance. It's like an actor on a stage, but there's actually no actor. It's just the character. There's nobody pulling those strings that you can find. It's really quite amazing. So now I just talk about whatever's arising. Right now, it just occurred to me this now. So I set up my little camera and I got my little laptop and I'm in my little sunroom and my wife's on a Zoom call doing tumor board or something, and my daughter's doing her college apps and my other daughter's playing around because they're off today because public school in California is underfunded and they just give kids the day off for no reason in the middle of the week. And I love it because school's kind of a frickin' joke. There, I said it. It's just conditioning into the cultural matrix, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But it's optional unless you want to succeed in the cultural matrix. It may still be optional. Sue says, the seeking is the same for the physical fitness. Thank you for the insight. Oh, it's the same thing. Like I could feel that seeking energy because I know what it is, because I've had it strongly, especially for physical fitness stuff. Like you're always thinking, you're always using mind, like, okay, one day I will get a 6-pack. one day I will lose this much weight. One day I will gain this much weight. One day I'll be able to, run the mile in this or bench press this much. It's always putting your happiness somewhere outside of this moment. And so you go to the gym and you feel that all over the place. And you see all body types striving and seeking. And you see some body types that you would say, from a societal standpoint, are perfect. Like, why are you even doing this? Oh, it's because the fear of loss is just the same as seeking in the future. Aversion and desire are just the cat chasing its tail. And you can feel it all, and it's all perfect. It's all beautiful. Yeah? When it feels like suffering, your heart just opens naturally. And these are just ways of speaking. There's no heart, there's no naturally. This is just the movement of energy that feels like the heart is opening. And so when you see human suffering or you experience it, instead of averting or making it someone else's problem or whatever it is, that's not the natural movement. When there isn't a center, there's just a leaning in and a witnessing and the natural action that follows, and that could be any number of things. So you don't have to practice compassion. You don't have to practice goodwill. You can do those things. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is different. This is the death of the one who could have done those things, meaning the death of an illusion. So nothing died because nothing was ever there. Robert is commenting on my path from in the lab to now. Glad you're finding your happiness. It's kind of funny because it's always been now, hasn't it? When I did in the lab, I still remember via thought. So an image of a thought arises of me in UMC Hospital in their lab with Tom and Logan with our camera lip syncing this piece that I'd written and recorded, and my buddy Devin had made the track for, and thinking at the time, no one's going to watch this, and then having it go crazy viral and having so much fun, but also having the seeking energy, like, oh, okay, what's the next parody going to be? And what's the next parody going to be? But it was so much fun. And performing that one live, like on stage in front of like a bunch of people, was a lot of fun for this character who really likes entertaining and also gets a little validation boost. So like enjoyed the validation from people saying, oh, you're awesome. Now it's funny, like Robert, like I feel the beauty in your comment. Like it's actually a very validating comment because it accepts that back then that was cool, but like this is cool too. And that's very sweet, but it's not experienced as validation anymore. It's experienced as, oh, like this is just the perfect unfolding of everything. Like it's very hard to talk about, but so thank you. There's a non-specific gratitude just for the whole thing. Like Robert, you could have said something terribly negative and I would have been like, oh, but I might, but the personality would have moved and it would have said something snarky. Most likely. Hard to say, actually. It has to happen. Now I'm just playing in thought. Yeah, George Shepard, when has it not been now? Try to find that time in experience. Sixth Estate, Z, your words ring true. Kinda. You remind me of a young teacher I once had. That's cool. You know what's interesting? The kinda that you put in there. So all words are false because they cannot capture this. All there is. Like, why talk about things that aren't? You can, of course. It's fun. But all that is here, now, and even here and now don't make sense because where else is there? And when else is there? Because there is not time the way we think of it, and there's not space. There's only what is arising. The kinda can refer to, oh, the words can never quite make sense. Or it could be, and this is how it was for me before, I would hear people speak in this way, pointing from their direct experience. And I would say, that kind of makes sense, or I feel something's there. And so what was putting in the kinda is the movement of thought that makes us feel like a separate self, experiencing someone's words. For that separate self, it's always kinda, because that separate self cannot be here now, because it's always here in, I mean, everything's here now, but it's in thought going through a labyrinth. And it's always a labyrinth that puts everything in a thought overlay. It takes experience, overlays thought, and then puts it in relation to a center of me. And that me is always going to say kinda, because it can only do that. But the reason it's saying kinda and not you're full of shit, which some people will say, is that there's another knowingness that's all-encompassing, that's always here, that knows this is true, because it's having that experience right now, right? You're having this experience with the apparent me. We're all right now. And that's undeniable. You can't deny this. Who would even deny it? Try to find the person that would deny it. You can't find them in here, apart from an appearance. Pip did 3 rounds of holotropic breathwork many years ago while in hypnotherapy school. They were all amazing. Yes, I've only kind of transiently, I'm gonna pop a squat next to your old man, Scotty, Dr. Evil. I'm gonna squat for a bit because it feels nice, and this camera just kind of follows me, which is cool. Oh, sweet. Let's get a slightly different view. Here, I'll take my laptop and I'll put it over here, and now we'll take a look. Hi, Rick. Yeah, so all these kind of techniques like breathwork, psychedelics, meditation, prayer, yoga, energy work. There's a million techniques. They all seem to generate some sort of experience. It seems to. So you do yoga, you get this sense of maybe energetics, you get physical senses like increased flexibility, strength, endurance, balance, all those things. With breathwork, you can get these deep internal states, mystical states, states of deep relaxation, states of agitation. These are all beautiful, and they can all kind of teach the apparent self something. But when we're talking about awakening, enlightenment, these words that don't make any sense, because who wakes up? Who is enlightened? This is always it. So where are we going? We never left where we wanted to go. We were seeking what's already here. And the only thing seemingly obscuring it is this movement of thought that says this isn't it. So those things have, as far as my experience goes, they're correlated but not causal. So it's like when you say, Tylenol causes autism when given to pregnant women. You have to be careful to tease out, okay, Tylenol. So you could do and they've done lots of studies, but we're not going to talk in detail about this because I just couldn't give 2 shits. But turns out, let's say, kids with autism, their mom was more likely to use Tylenol. So what does that say? Does it say that Tylenol caused the autism? Or does it say Tylenol was correlated with autism because it was correlated with other things like migraine, some genetic thing that caused pain during pregnancy, high fevers that were due to infectious causes, etc. And those rode along with the development of autism? Well, you can't say without really good data, which I still don't think we have. Not really good data. It's very hard to study. So looking at awakening, enlightenment, all of this, you can say, oh, I did holotropic breathwork, or I did years of meditation, or I did self-inquiry, or I did this or that, all these different techniques, and then I woke up. First of all, I would really be careful about the one who's saying that, because there's something about awakening where you realize nobody woke up, nothing happened. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. But you could then go back and go, okay, are those just epiphenomena? Are they associated with someone who was energetically one of the people who just, that illusion relaxed and they could see things as they are now, which we're calling awakening. Like the identity drops as me and it's just everythinging. My intuition, for what it's worth, is that it's not causal. So people who tend to be wired for whatever reason energetically that are going to have this understanding arise, especially no self, where you realize there is no abiding self, realize, not intellectually, realize it. They seem to do things like meditation, yoga, holotropic breathwork, psychedelics, whatever it is. They just lean in that direction of exploration, seeking perhaps, because the standard human operating system is intolerable in some level to them. And so the very seeking that is the problem gets turned on itself to seek its own salvation. So the mind actually is looking for the end of its own suffering, even though the very act of looking for that is the suffering. It is the problem. And that's the kind of paradox. So you end up seeing meditation for years or self-inquiry or different practices showing up because that's the epiphenomenon of the seeking mind being unhappy with its seeking, which is ironic because it's causing its own unhappiness. So that's my 2 cents on it. Now, so what does that mean? As a prescription, if I'm telling you what should I do, first of all, I can't tell you that. Can't give advice because there's no advice. There's just what happens. But I would say, I can't tell you don't meditate, do holotropic breath work, do yoga, do self-inquiry, do practices of psychedelics, whatever calls to you. I can't tell you that because that's like saying, don't have a headache when you're pregnant. That would then lead you to take Tylenol. Don't take the Tylenol. It's like, it makes no difference. You're already wired to be that. That's already what's happening. So you're going to do it. Honestly, whether I tell you to or not. Or you won't do it, whether I tell you to or not. That's just how it is, seemingly. Doesn't everyone have to go on some kind of seeking path first, says R34CT. So this is interesting. You would say generally, sorry, I keep shifting around because, I'm a fidgety motherfucker. You could say generally that seems to be the case, but not always. Some people just have these massive energetic awakenings without any seeking. So kind of all bets are off. But I think the majority of people seem to have a real discomfort that leads to anywhere from hours to lifetimes of seeking. And then whatever drops. Now, here's an important thing, okay? So when we're talking about like this awakening to the realization that there wasn't a you there and that there's always only been this and that this is all there is and that it has no witness, it has no outside or inside, it has no there and here, it has no then, now, or in the past. Like that can occur, apparently. Nothing really happens because who would it happen to and when would it happen when there's only this? So see, the words get a little goofy, but that can apparently happen to an apparent person, and then comes the fun, because then the ego mind re-establishes itself and starts owning that experience as its. So it comes back online, because why wouldn't it? Like this is all kind of a mysterious energetic process. Why wouldn't it just come back? And now it tells the story of the one who woke up. the one who is enlightened, the one who did these practices and therefore woke up, the one who had a story of awakening that went like this. And now, even more concerning, is that one starts a YouTube channel and starts telling people how to wake up. Starts getting all the validation, money, all the winning credits in the spiritual marketplace by saying all the right things, innocently, actually, at first, because it feels true, because the ego can't see its own delusion. And what ends up happening is the people who listen may have some insight and so on, but they're on a path that's led by a person into more seeking, and maybe the seeking will exhaust the mind and they'll wake up and realize that person never fucking knew what the hell they were talking about. And I think this is more the rule than the exception. And this is why you'll see me sometimes make videos like all the gurus are full of shit, or stop listening to the gurus in your head, or all that. And again, you can't do any of that. It's all just going to be what it is. But Zubin's personality is to talk shit all the time. And also from his own experience now. So I went through all this. I've made every mistake that you could make, including spiritual ego, where you have some insight and then you start thinking you know everything and you start telling other people how to be, or assuming other people are less than because they aren't. It's total nonsense, because here, now, everything is perfect, including delusion. It is this. And when you see it in yourself, actually infinite heart opening happens, because you realize it's a miracle that anyone can see anything, given how compelling the delusion is. The delusion of self, the delusion of me, the delusion of seeking, all of it. The Smiesko says, some of my friends call it a cult. Many cults have formed based on this idea of enlightenment, sometimes with fatal results, right? Sue. RR34 says, awakening is waking up from the ego and realizing you are not your identity to begin with. So that's one way of putting into words something that's not sayable, right? But listen, R34, like, it's one thing, you can see that in an insight, you can see that in a flash, because it's always the case that there isn't a real identity here. And then you spend the next 10 years unraveling all the energetic knots of identity that have been built over a lifetime. And that's this traversing the hero's journey of the shadow, which is a story that people made up. But it feels like that as an epiphenomenon, just like the Tylenol thing and the holotropic breathwork and the meditation and the inquiry. It shows up as part of this energetic unraveling. And so here, that's been going on for the last few years, and it is excruciating. Like, everything you thought you were on inspection, it shows you something from childhood that made you behave that way. So you realize you're nothing but your conditioning. And then you realize the conditioning was totally out of your control and innocent, and there is no control and there's no you. And then piece by piece, these identity layers come off. And then what happens is you reform as something that you can't even talk about, that just plays out its conditioning. So Zubin will say shit, and it's all fine. There isn't even a resistance to that. And if it arises, it's noticed right away. It's like, oh, I'm resisting. Somebody's resisting. There's a movement of resistance that's happening. And then that kind of dissolves, but it can be painful. And then you just get some dark stuff can happen. Dark meaning if you're going to put a value on it. I think it's all beautiful now. The darker the better. Because it means you're going right where you're afraid to look, which, what are you afraid of? It's all appearance. It's all okay, ultimately. Better than okay. Emma says, it's a constant. Zubin is honest in a way that no one else is. Don't change your channel. Don't change a thing. Okay, Emma, because you told me that, and you I love and trust, because you send me sweets from the UK, that is what shall happen. So let it be written, so let it be done. Decision made. See, the universe will decide for you. It stays ZDog. See, I can't even change the name without losing the URL that is linked to all over the years and the little verified tag and all that. I'm like, well, why would I do that? I just started a new channel, but why do that when enough people show up that are feeling this, then let's do that. Because what else is there to do? And if that doesn't work, who cares? Has no consequence, but the beauty of us hanging out, which is actually a beautiful consequence. Joe, I didn't share my awakening with anyone for more than 3 years. It didn't feel right to give someone a story to try to attain. I told the person that it's different for everyone. Yeah, I think that's right. So it's funny, like I've been interviewed by Angelo and others like asking about, so tell us about your awakening, right? Because Angelo's really loves to hear stories of how people seemingly wake up in the story. Angelo knows it's a story. Angelo knows its appearance, it's part of a narrative. But for him and for many, it's fun. It's like, whoa, so many different ways that people see reality. So I remember I was sitting on the camera telling him the story, and as I was telling him the story even, I was like, this is nonsense. This never happened. Like the story in my mind is constructed. Oh, I was in this closet, Tony Hsieh, Sarah, the sorceress, this happened, that happened, this thing happened, this clarity. And it's like, that's not what happened. What happened was not knowable by the mind. That's the nature of it. And nothing happened because it's not an event. It's not in time. It's not in space. So that's why people get very frustrated. They're like, just tell me what happened, bro. It's like, what's asking? Maybe I'd ask that. What is asking that question? Look for that. Yeah, that's a start, maybe. Even that I don't know. Bruce Reed says, lose yourself in the Bible and Stoicism philosophy. You'll discover a stronger you. Tomorrow and yesterday are just concepts. So I agree with losing yourself. And I agree with concepts. And whether that the Bible works for you or Stoicism works for you, whatever that key is that seemingly unlocks your door energetically, go for that. It's beautiful. Yeah, they're absolutely concepts. What did Jesus say in my favorite Bible verse, Jesus Christ Superstar? You're far too keen on where and when and not so hot on why. I forget what he said. Because, that's canon, apparently. Let's see. New Day says, I often feel I need another lifetime for further self-inquiry. This is a setup. I mean, okay, let's talk about that. This is good. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to reset this framing for a second because I don't like it. I want to be a little more... Zubin does not like this framing. Hold on. There we go. Now it's going to follow me as a centered thing. Okay. The human mind is such a seeking machine. That's all it does. It is always looking for happiness, perfection, fulfillment, peace. It thinks it will get that. At some point, it might realize, oh, I can get that through awakening. These people seem pretty chill. They have a lot of equanimity. They seem to be very compassionate. They give zero fucks. I want to do that. How do I do that? I'm going to inquire. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to follow them. I'm going to read their books. I'm going to deprive myself. I'm going to do these asceticisms. I'm going to, all the things. And those may all show up. And then when they realize that's not working, then the mind actually takes time and puts it into yet another dimension. In my next life, this will happen. Maybe my suffering is due to previous lives. The mind is such a bastard asshole that it will actually start inventing past and future lives. So as if this identity wasn't enough of an illusion, it's generating an identity that's an illusion and putting it outside of space and time into this mythical past life, future life, infinite time. Like it's absolutely crazy. So if past lives and reincarnation happen, they happen as an appearance now. And they happen to no one. They're self-radiant phenomena. That's my experiential experience, and it's not mine because there isn't a me when that's arising. It's arising now, and now, and now, and now. So the mind will put that even into a future life. One life, I'll have cleared out enough karma that I'll be able to wake up and be liberated and get off the hamster wheel of death and rebirth. To which I would say, who's doing that? Who is this mythical soul that's moving through multiple lives to wake up to what it already is? Like, that's a great story. It's a beautiful story. It's an epic story. Maybe that appears as a story. Absolutely. It can appear. Past lives might appear to you. Future lives might appear. Like, if I die right now, who's to say that I'm not just suddenly somebody else? Has nothing to do with a me that's moving through space and time, that's abiding in reality. It's all appearance. It's only now. Awakening is here. Now, this. Where else would it be? Stop waiting. Stop projecting. Just stop. Where else is there? What else is there? This, now. New Day says, Zubin, how do you know me so well? That is literally the madness of my mind. I'm tired. New Day, I know you because I am you. I mean, how is this different? We're humans, right? Apparently. So we share that human consciousness, apparently, this appearance of this consensus reality. Our minds are fucking crazy. It's not you, because there is no you, but it is the movement of thought, human consciousness, reflective consciousness. It feels insane. In some future life, I will wake up. Because it won't accept that its own end is required. Its own ceasing is required to see what is. Because that's death for the mind. And it doesn't want to die. That's one thing it does not want. It thinks it wants enlightenment, but it doesn't realize what that is. If it did, it would run. I can tell you this from personal experience. This is not wantable by the mind. It's complete oblivion for the mind, and then absolute indescribable freedom for no one. No one benefits. Because no one's there. There's just there. And even that is saying too much, because it's using words. Guanalex says, I did, that's why I am here and happy. Nice. You mean you awakened, or you stepped off the treadmill? Clarify for me. Dan says, it seems like Jesus was pretty awakened for his time, if only religions were as open as he was. So Jesus, if you actually look at the Jesus story and the things he said, that guy was... I mean, there's a great audiobook by Adyashanti called Resurrecting Jesus, and he talks about Jesus as an awakening parable, and it's jaw-dropping. It's really amazing. I love to go sit in Christian churches and just feel that particular flavor of awakening, which is love, compassion. Yeah, it's beautiful. The Holy Spirit, it's gorgeous. Do you believe in manifestation? This is all manifestation. No one's doing it, though. The idea that I can control reality is another attempt of the mind to grasp for something and avert from something else. I don't like this, I do like that. That's just what mind does. So mind loves manifestation because it gives it something to spin its wheels on. But the truth is, why would you manifest anything when everything is absolutely perfect? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't, knowing that, you can't ride the flow of life into manifesting things that you think are amazing, because suddenly the things that you think are amazing are whatever is arising, and it looks to you like manifestation. Like, damn, I just manifest a splinter in my foot. Ah, it's just cool. Feel the energetic of that splinter in my toe. Like, it's like that. That's manifestation. It's turning what happens into something perfect. That's how I see it. Your mileage may vary and will. Dennis says, Pippananda, I recall many lives. Past lives are as real as this, which is not at all. See, that's it. That's it, Dennis. They're as real as this. I agree, it's all appearing, happening now. Story seems to be what it's all about, a grand adventure, sound and fury. Gorgeous, beautifully said. So this is the thing, Dennis, like, so I'm not like, I don't mean to belittle this idea that there are past lives or future lives or any of that. It's just to say, yeah, so what? It's more appearance, and you can have fun with it and you experience it, and it's life living you as many lives. So what? But there's nothing real about any of this, because there's no time that it unfolds in and no space that it occurs in. It's just infinitely this lotus flower unfolding. Let me scroll down here. I got my leg up on the couch here because it feels nice. Smiesko, do you know why we awaken? I have this crazy idea, and well, I don't want to end up in a psychiatric ward again. It is impossible to explain to docs, especially since I do have Asperger's, just FYI. By the way, I find that people with like some people on the spectrum seem to be drawn to this stuff. Don't know why. It's a story, but it's an interesting one. Yeah. No, I don't know why people awaken. There's no why, because that would imply meaning. And meaning is completely constructed, so you can come up with any numbers of whys. It's a miracle that it happens because the delusion is so compelling. So it seems like it's not so common, but maybe that's wrong, because what does that mean? Yeah, so I don't know. Jeff Rochford says, feels like you have sufficient ego still. Oh, definitely, Jeff. Like ego, I find it would be hard to function without having ego as a mechanism that allows you to move through a world and interact with other apparent beings and do all that. So there's definitely ego here. You can feel it, right? You feel it. It's funny because people seem to expect people who talk about awakening or whatever to have no ego. But it's like, do you know what that's like when the ego totally relaxes? It's like this. So that's a hard way to, like, you know, go to the grocery store and haggle over a loan. Or so ego's a nice tool, and it also is very sticky. So sometimes you think ego's not there and it's actually doing everything. Guilty. It happens to me a lot. Because this is still, I mean, this is a never-ending process as far as I'm concerned. From here, I don't see the bottom of this. It's just infinite rabbit hole. Erica says, it's because we don't like to stay surface level. I'm AUDHD. I have to go deep. It's why gossiping, networking, socializing is not easy for us or enjoyable. Yeah, so people on the spectrum. Hey, Mark. How are you doing, Dr. G? Good to see you. Hit me up sometime. Tell me how you guys are doing. I know you've been going through it. Yeah, just stop, right? That was a crack for me. I remember reading that in Angela's book years ago, and just stop. And I was like, and I looked up and the mind just stopped. And so this is a story, by the way, so be careful, because this is one of those awakening stories. but I'll tell you just how it was experienced. I was sitting over there. Had reading glasses on, so everything was a little blurry. I was reading the book, and he was going through, sometimes someone just needs to stop. They need to stop managing, stop faking it, stop trying, stop not trying, stop trying to wake up, stop meditating, all this. He's going through this list. And as he's saying stop, 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 I look up and the mind just stopped. And what was left when there wasn't an overlay could best be described as something that immediately felt familiar, like, oh, it's always been this. Second, it felt like what Jesus called the peace that passeth all understanding. Like nothing is wrong here. There was no me in any of it. Like in Buddhism, they have this thing called the Bahia Sutta. It talks about this. There's, just the seen, just the heard, just the felt, just the cognized. There's no you in that. And everything was just everythinging. And it was undeniable. It was like, oh, yep. I wouldn't call it awakening. I mean, because there was another like clear, non-dual glimpse of what this is. It was always like that. So just stop can be a powerful, if for the right person, the right time, right energetic, it's like, just, that's it. Guanalex says, every second of the now became a drop of champagne and liquid gold. Time sometimes slows down. Not all the time, still practice. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful poetry you got going there. I love that. I mean, why even should we dally around talking about this like it's something outside of this, right? You know it's not, I know it's not. Let's just look. Just stop and look. I mean, nuts. Very simple, so ordinary. Mind would make nothing of it. That's why it's missed. It's too close and too simple, too just dog shit ordinary, and too perfect that the mind just be like, that's it? Yeah, that's it. Relax. Relax, dear seeker. It's okay. It's always been okay. Whether you seek or don't seek, whether you suffer or don't suffer, there's this, always. Always, always, always. Just feel it. Feel it in the body. Feel it in the air touching your skin. Feel it in the thought that there's skin and a boundary between you and the air. Even that is it. Even that sense of separation is this indescribable isness of this, the aliveness, impermanent dancing, just sparks, pixels of energy just dancing. And these are just words because I'm going to move my mouth, but they don't touch what this is. Oh, thank you, DHMP. Ned Fleming says, what's your specialty, Z? Well, I was a hospitalist for many years. Now I'm no one. Pa Baker, great to see you, my brother. Ed from New Zealand. Hi, Ed. How you doing? John says, what's up with the awakened people that talk about entities? Well, so there are a few things here. I'm gonna pop a squat. So first, I mean, there's no awakened people. There's just this. But there are people who say, I've had awakening and so on, like all you can really do is point from experience. Entities are another experiential aspect. It's another phenomena arising, like anything. So any mystical experience, sense of complete connection, God consciousness, seeing deities, entities, spirits, ancestors, all that can appear. You can have that in meditation. You can have that spontaneously. You can have that during psychedelics. And for some people, that's a powerful aspect of their experience. It's no more to do with awakening or the nature of reality than that. They're the same energetic, different form, different story. In a dream, you wouldn't say, oh, in a dream, there was this guy who, planted a bomb and blew himself up. And then there was a flower in my dream. There's no distinguishing between those two because they're both just appearance, right? That's entity, not entity, past life, future life, all that. Dream stuff. Beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. Appearance, like a movie. So it has no bearing on anything. Nothing does. Nothing that we say does, because this is not to be understood. Because it just is, as it is. I am that I am. Dan says, well, you're basically a tube, so there's kind of air inside of you, depending on how you want to think about it. So now we're like, this is what the mind does, right? It's like, well, but wait, now, but then I have this digestive tract, and there's air here, and so there's really there's no, but see, that's all that none of that is here in experience right now. Like, that's all a story that we're conceptualizing. Even the fact that we have a brain, like we assume our brain is doing all these things. Show me a brain. Oh, I'll crack you open and show you the brain. Now you're dead. Now that's just goo. Like, that's appearance. Oh, fine. I'll operate on you while you're alive. I won't use anesthesia. I'll open up your skull. I'll show you a mirror and you'll see your brain. I see an appearance. You're calling it brain. You're telling conceptual stories about what it does. That's all a story. It's beautiful. It's like in a dream. That guy blew himself up. That's a flower. Story, appearance. Not real, not substantial, just appearance. Nothing wrong with that. There are good appearances and bad appearances if there's an apparent appearance that judges them. Dan says, I see what you're saying, but you can distinguish between things despite them being the same. Okay, the distinguishing between things, what is that? That's a mind function, discriminating mind. It distinguishes between phone and me, laptop and me. That's what it does. Those are all thoughts. But if that drops, if the discriminating mind stops discriminating, then there's just radiance, appearance. Can't say a word about it. But that is actually raw reality. Raw reality doesn't distinguish, because where would it do that? It would have to put things in space, which is another mind construction. It would have to put things in time, which is another mind construction. More appearance, more mind function. Nothing wrong with mind's function, but it has nothing to do with the root nature of this. Although it's, as an appearance, it is this. That's what's so interesting for no one. Okay, let me see here. Hang on. I'm starting to get hot. And when I get hot, I start to get fidgety. And when I get fidgety, I start thinking how I'm going to end the live stream and go have a snack and hang out with my kids, which is going to happen shortly. Ultimately, like, this is a lot of fun. Like, we hang out, we share this moment, because how could we not? Because it's all just happening, unfolding, apparently. Apparently means as an appearance. Not like, I doubt that it's happening. It's that, no, the appearance is happening. That's all that's happening. And in a sense, nothing's happening because it's just appearance. So at any point, at the only point, which is now, you wake up from this dream of appearance and you realize no one woke up. There was no dreamer, just appearance. So what is left? You can't say a word about. It doesn't move, but it holds all motion as itself, and it's not an it. So now I'm just using words to trip on themselves, to point in this direction. Infinite potentiality. To the mind feels like a void, to reality, not a void. And there's no mind and there's no reality. Totally eternal and unchanging, meaning not lasting forever, but not in time, not of time. And what are you? But in the world, but not of this world, because there is only this, and the world is but an appearance in and as this. And that, just that, is freedom. Freedom from the self, not for the self. Freedom from the tyranny of the long-standing belief that you are you, rather than a big question mark. Big, mouth open sense of awe at everything. Life living you. And it's always been that. And you can't say anything about anything, can you? You can't say it always will be, because that's a story. All right, gang. This was a lot of fun for me. Not sure about you. Your comments are great, by the way. I think I will just keep the Z-Dog channel because you guys are cool as hell, and I wouldn't want to lose you to some other mystery channel. Dan says freedom from freedom. That's beautiful, Dan. Oh my God. Freedom from freedom. I love it. I love it. That's a great way to end. All right, guys, I love you. Peace out, bappy bap. See you next time. Now I got to figure out, how do I make this end? Because the button has disappeared somewhere. Hang on, fam. Let me go minus, 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 minus. There it is. Bye, y'all.